My name is Daphne Rowe, and I'm 34 years old. Up until a week ago, if you'd driven past my life, you'd probably have thought, she's fine, she's safe, she's got it together. Small two-bedroom apartment with a balcony, full of plants that somehow survived my inconsistent watering. A car that wasn't glamorous, but started every time. Auto pay on my bills, retirement account that I actually contributed to. I built that life myself, slowly, spreadsheet by spreadsheet, one boring, responsible decision at a time. I've always been the sensible one, the friend you call when your tire blows out or your bank account overdrafts, the person who remembers to bring a phone charger, a protein bar, and an umbrella just in case. People say it like a compliment, but it can feel like a label on a storage bin. Practical, stackable, forgettable. Then I met Connor Hayes. Connor is 33. He sells high-end real estate, which is a fancy way of saying he's professionally charming for a living. He has the kind of easy smile that makes bartenders pour heavy and strangers tell him their life stories. To him, life is a highlight reel. If it's not Instagrammable, did it even happen? We'd been together almost 4 years, engaged for 7 months. Our wedding was scheduled for 2 weeks from now. Invitations sent, venue booked, catering paid, flowers ordered. I had a color-coded folder for every vendor, receipts tucked neatly into clear sleeves. At first, it was exciting. We should do something big, he'd say, eyes shining. People should walk into our wedding and think, of course this is Connor and Daphne's day. By Connor and Daphne, he mostly meant Connor. It happened gradually. The venue with the reasonable package wasn't special enough. The mid-range photographer didn't capture the vibe. The honeymoon I'd carefully priced out, 10 days in Costa Rica, was met with a tight smile. I mean, babe, Costa Rica is fine, he said one night, swirling red wine. But don't you want something more? Santorini, maybe? Amalfi Coast? We only get one shot at this. We only get one bank account at this, I joked weakly. He laughed, kissed my forehead, and said, Relax, you worry too much about money. We'll figure it out. We usually meant me, with my spreadsheets, making numbers do gymnastics to keep up with his ideas. There were little digs, too, comments that slid past before I could decide if they were jokes. You know, if you took that promotion instead of worrying about work-life balance, we could have upgraded the ring by now. Maybe we should trade in your car before the wedding photos. I don't want the guests parking next to your starter vehicle and thinking we're broke. He'd say it with a grin, like we were in on the same joke. I'd smile back because the alternative was admitting those little jokes landed like pebbles in my stomach, slowly piling up. The breaking point came on a Thursday night. Connor had planned a guys' night at our apartment. His best friend Nate, his coworker Dylan, and his cousin Hannah. I was supposed to be at my friend Lena's, but she canceled last minute. By 9 p.m., I was exhausted and just wanted my bed. Connor had told me they'd probably be wrapping up by then anyway. When I pulled into our parking lot, I could see the glow of our living room lights. Music pulsed faintly in the air. I opened the front door quietly, out of habit. Laughter drifted down the hallway. I was halfway to the bedroom when I heard my name. I'm just saying. Connor's voice rose above the others, looser, sharper around the edges than usual. If Daphne really wants to marry me, she's got to prove she's worth it. I stopped walking. Nate's laugh floated over the music. Dude, she said yes to you. Isn't that proof enough? No, man, you don't get it. Connor's tone shifted. I'm not trying to have some basic wedding and then spend the rest of my life in a basic apartment with a basic life. I work my ass off. I want a partner who matches that, you know? Someone who looks like my life. Hannah whistled low. You're cold, Con. He chuckled. I'm just being honest. Like, I told her I wanted to do Santorini for the honeymoon. Private villa, infinity pool, the works. Do you know what she said? Connor, Costa Rica is more practical. Practical for our honeymoon? Who says that? Dylan snorted. To be fair, Costa Rica's nice. Sure, for a random vacation, Connor said. But this is our wedding. People expect certain things from me. My clients follow me. My ex follows me. Olivia would never have settled for a budget trip, I'll tell you that much. You still talk to Olivia? Nate asked, teasing. Connor laughed. Nah, I'm just saying she had standards. If I'd married her, we'd probably be doing Maldives or something. Meanwhile, Daphne's over here worried about her 401k. They all laughed. My fingers tightened around the strap of my bag until my knuckles went white. She's comfortable, Connor continued, and the way he said it made the words sound like an insult. She's nice, safe, but sometimes I look at my buddies' girlfriends and they're out here with designer bags, flying to Tulum on a random weekend, posting all this fire content, and I'm thinking, did I sell myself short? Nate's voice softened. Come on, man. Daphne's good to you. Yeah, she is, Connor said quickly. I'm not saying she's bad. I'm just saying, if she wants to be my wife, she needs to show me she can level up, stop clutching her savings like a security blanket. I can't be the only one carrying the impressive part of this relationship. She's already planning everything, right? Hannah asked. Isn't that enough? That's the bare minimum, Connor said. Anyone can call vendors. I'm talking about the lifestyle. My clients are going to be there. My boss is going to be there. This is my brand on display. I can't walk into my own wedding looking like I settled. If she doesn't step up, maybe I'm marrying the wrong person. Dylan tried to make a joke out of it. So what? You going to call up Olivia? They laughed again. My body felt like it had split in two. I thought about the nights I'd stayed up late, spreadsheets open, trying to make his dream wedding possible. I thought about the promotion I'd turned down. I thought about the way he'd smiled when he slipped that delicate ring onto my finger, promising me we were a team. I didn't go into the living room. I didn't storm in and scream. Instead, I backed away. One slow step, then another. I eased the front door open as quietly as I'd come in and slipped out. In the parking lot, I sat in my car with my hands on the steering wheel, staring straight ahead, while Connor's words replayed in my head on a loop. If she really wants to marry me, she's got to prove she's worth it. I can't walk into my own wedding looking like I settled. Maybe I'm marrying the wrong person. It hit me, suddenly and completely, that I was studying for an exam I'd never agreed to take. An exam with changing questions and no passing grade, because the man holding the red pen had already decided I was basic. I started the car and eventually pulled into the parking lot of an extended stay hotel. In the bland safety of that beige hotel room, I sat on the edge of the bed and opened the Notes app on my phone. Instead of drafting another to-do list for the wedding, I typed 3 short sentences, my fingers shaking. Good luck finding someone who meets your standards. The wedding is canceled. Don't contact me. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it yet, but I knew one thing with absolute terrifying clarity. If Connor needed me to prove I was worth marrying, then he didn't deserve to marry me at all. And first thing in the morning, I was going to stop taking the test. I didn't sleep much. At some point, I must have drifted off because I woke up to thin light and my phone buzzing angrily on the nightstand. 17 missed calls, 11 texts from Connor. I didn't open his messages. My heart rate spiked anyway. For a few minutes, I just sat there staring at my ring. It still looked like a promise to me. The problem was that I finally understood what kind of promise Connor thought he'd made. Not, I choose you, but I expect you to become someone else. Okay, I whispered to the empty room. Let's do this. I did the only thing I know how to do when my life feels like it's spinning out of control. I made a plan. First, money. The wedding wasn't just a date on a calendar. It was a spreadsheet come to life. I pulled my laptop and started making calls. Email after email, confirmation after confirmation. The venue, the caterer, the florist, photographer, DJ, cake, honeymoon package. Good morning, Creston Hall. This is Mariah. Hi, Mariah. This is Daphne Rowe. We have a wedding booked for 2 weeks from Saturday. I need to cancel. Silence. Then, cautiously, cancel the wedding? The wedding, I said. My voice sounded strangely calm. There's been a family emergency. We can't go through with it. I hated the lie, but I didn't have the emotional bandwidth to explain that the emergency was my fiancé's ego. By the time I got through all the vendors, my coffee had gone cold. My notebook was filled with numbers and check marks and words like non-refundable and waived. The honeymoon was the easiest. I'd booked our Costa Rica trip through a site with flexible cancellations because I'd wanted the safety net. Connor had rolled his eyes at me for it. Babe, no one cancels their honeymoon, he'd said. You worry too much. By noon, our wedding no longer existed anywhere except in my inbox and a pile of vendor contracts. I updated my spreadsheet. Roughly $9,000 gone. About $25,000 I would never have to pay. The sting was real. Then another thought slid in behind it, quiet but solid. What would it have cost me to stay? How many times would I have swallowed little comments about being basic until I didn't recognize myself? $9,000 suddenly felt very, very cheap. I drove back to the apartment while Connor was at work. I moved through the apartment like I was walking through a stranger's open house, evaluating what was actually mine. I packed slowly, deliberately. On the dresser, my wedding binder sat exactly where I'd left it, a thick 3-ring monster full of contracts and swatches and checklists. I opened it, stared at the page with our names printed in looping calligraphy, then closed it and left it there. In the kitchen, I pulled a sticky note and wrote out the same 3 lines from my phone, my handwriting firmer this time. Good luck finding someone who meets your standards. The wedding is canceled. Don't contact me. I stuck it on the counter, right next to the little bowl where we kept our keys. My ring made a soft clink as I dropped it in. On my way out, I paused by the door. In the hallway, the light flickered again. It had been doing that for months. Connor always said we should just move somewhere nicer. For the first time, I smiled at it. Yeah, I murmured. Maybe I will. Back at the hotel, I finally took off my ring. The indentation on my finger throbbed, pale and tender. I placed the ring on the nightstand next to my phone. It started buzzing almost immediately, Connor's name lighting up the screen over and over. I watched it vibrate itself across the wood, then reached out, put the phone on silent, and turned it face down. If there was one thing I was sure of, it was this. Whatever test he thought I'd failed, I was done taking it. I didn't turn my phone back on until Saturday morning. When I powered it on, the screen exploded with notifications. 47 missed calls, 32 unread texts, voicemails, group chats. The texts from Connor were exactly the progression I expected. Where are you? Call me. This isn't funny. I scrolled and stopped at the one that made something inside me harden. If you're canceling this wedding over a stupid misunderstanding, I swear. I locked the phone. If that's what he typed after reading my note, then last night wasn't an isolated moment. It was a mirror held up to who he really was. My next call was to Lena. Daff, oh my God, are you alive? I'm okay, I said softly. I'm at a hotel. A hotel? What happened? I told her everything. Enough for her breath to hiss sharply through the phone. Enough for her to say with cold fury, that's emotional rot, Daff. That's a man who thinks you're furniture he can upgrade. She offered her couch, her spare key, anything. But I told her I needed space. By Sunday morning, the situation had escalated. Connor called Lena because he couldn't reach me. She texted me afterward. He's frantic and manipulative. Want me to block him? I typed back, yes, please. Monday arrived, and with it, the final venue walkthrough. Connor was supposed to be there with his mother, his younger sister, and Nate. Instead, at 2 p.m., they arrived to find the doors locked and a white sheet of paper taped to the glass. Event for Connor Hayes and Daphne Rowe canceled. At 2:47 p.m., my phone started ringing. Connor. I didn't answer. 19 calls in a row. Finally, a voicemail. His voice burst through, sharp and furious. What the hell did you do, Daphne? We're standing outside the venue and there's a sign saying our event is canceled. My mother is here. Everyone is staring at me like I'm insane. Call me back right now. I deleted it. Then I blocked his number. 5 minutes later, another call came in. Mrs. Hayes. I answered. Daphne, what is going on? Connor is hysterical. Please tell me this is some kind of mistake. It isn't, I said quietly. But the wedding is in 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks. She inhaled sharply. Daphne, why? Why would you do this without talking to us? Mrs. Hayes, he lied to you. My note didn't say I needed space. It said the wedding was canceled. She went quiet. What happened between you two? I considered telling her the truth. Instead, I said, There were things said that made it very clear we're not compatible. Daphne, I don't know what Connor told you, but he's devastated. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, was all I said, but the engagement is over. She hung up without replying. Then, unexpectedly, my phone buzzed with a new message from a number I didn't recognize. Hey, it's Nate. Can we talk? It's important. Connor's best friend. One of the people who'd been in the living room that night. Another message came through. I think I owe you an apology. You deserve to know what Connor's been telling people, and what he said Thursday night wasn't the first time. The floor seemed to tilt under me. Wasn't the first time. Because apparently, Thursday night wasn't a moment of drunken honesty. It was just the first time I'd heard him. By Tuesday morning, the fallout had begun to spill over. My coworker sent me a message. I think Connor posted something about you on Instagram. I opened the app. There it was, a black square with white text. Some people don't value loyalty. Some people don't value commitment. I hope you find what you're looking for. No names, but everyone knew. Comments already. Stay strong, man. You deserve better, bro. I closed the app, blocked him there too. Around noon, Mrs. Hayes called again. Her voice was quieter this time. Daphne, I talked to Connor. I said nothing. He told me you canceled everything without explanation. He said you didn't even have the decency to tell him to his face. I left him a note, I said calmly. A note, she repeated. What did it say? That the wedding was canceled and that he should not contact me. She fell quiet. Daphne, was there someone else? It took me a moment to understand. No, I said, stunned. Absolutely not. Then why? She asked softly. There were things he said about me, about what I would need to do to be worthy of him. And I realized that I didn't want to spend my life trying to pass a test that keeps changing. Her breath caught. I see. I'm sorry, she said, quieter than I'd ever heard her. Me too, I answered. That evening, I finally called Nate back. Daphne? His voice was tense. Yes, talk. He inhaled hard. First, I'm sorry. For laughing, for not stopping him, for letting it happen. How many times? I asked. He hesitated. A few. More than a few. Thursdays wasn't the first time. My stomach twisted. And you all laughed? Not always. Sometimes we told him he was being a jerk. But Connor likes to perform. He'd talk about you like you were this stable option, like you were the practical choice, not the exciting one. He'd compare you to Olivia, Nate admitted. A lot. And he'd joke that you needed to level up if you wanted to keep up with his lifestyle, that he couldn't be the only one in the relationship who was impressive. Nate, I said quietly. Did he say he'd settled? Silence. Then, once. I felt everything inside me become sharp and cold. Thank you, I said. I'm not coming back. I figured. Do you want me to tell people the truth about what he said? After a long moment, I said, tell them whatever you think is right. I'm done defending myself. I'm just done. By Wednesday, it felt like the entire city knew something had happened. I didn't answer most messages. I wasn't interested in being the main character in anyone else's gossip thread. Still, the narrative was shifting. Nate had apparently spoken to Dylan. Dylan told Hannah, and since people love to talk, by Thursday morning, even mutual acquaintances were reposting quotes. Meanwhile, Connor's heartbreak posts started disappearing one by one. But people noticed. One post still had a comment. Is this about Daphne? Didn't you say she needed to prove herself? Yikes, bro. The comment had 12 likes. That weekend, what would have been our wedding weekend, I picked up the apartment keys to my new place. A one-bedroom walk-up, smaller than the two-bedroom Connor and I shared. Just a cozy living room, warm afternoon light, and a kitchen counter that didn't care about impressing anyone. I stood in the middle of the empty space and felt something unclench inside me. I slept that night with the windows open, cool air drifting in. No buzzing phone, no performance, no pressure. just me. 6 weeks passed before Connor tried one more time to reach me. It came through a mutual friend, Kara. Daphne, I ran into Connor today. He wants to meet for coffee, just to get closure. No, I said calmly. He said he wants to explain. He said he was drunk that night, showing off for the guys, that it wasn't serious. I let out a soft, humorless laugh. He said those things because he believed them, not because he was drunk. And even if he didn't, I deserve someone who respects me when I'm not in the room. Someone who doesn't use me as a talking point to boost his ego. When we hung up, I felt not triumphant, not bitter, just steady. 3 months after the canceled wedding, I found myself sitting at a cafe on a quiet Saturday morning, journal open, sunlight warming my arms. My ring finger had lost the indentation. My bank account was slowly recovering. My sleep was deep and dreamless again. I didn't miss him. What I missed was the person I thought he was. That man existed, but only in the parts of our life where no one else was watching. When other people were around, he stepped into a role. Connor, the impressive one. Connor, the prize. And I had been the accessory, something to complete the picture. A safe choice. Something he could shape, upgrade, or complain about for laughs. I started dating again in small, cautious ways. I was learning to listen for red flags in the quiet moments, in the offhand comments, in the jokes that landed too sharply. I was learning to notice how someone talked about me when they thought I wasn't paying attention. And more importantly, I was learning how to choose myself before choosing anyone else. My friend Derek asked me recently if I regretted the way I ended things. No, I said finally. I don't regret it. You don't think it was harsh? He asked gently. I smiled. He didn't deserve a confrontation. He deserved consequences. That's cold, Derek said. No, I said. It's clarity. Connor would have argued. He would have defended himself. He would have blamed the alcohol or the stress. He would have told me I misunderstood, or that he was just joking, or that I was being emotional. But what he said wasn't in anger. It wasn't during a fight. It was casual, comfortable, said to friends when he had no reason to pretend. That's who he really was. He lifted his cup. To new beginnings. I lifted mine. To never taking a test I didn't sign up for. I don't take pleasure in knowing that Connor's been struggling with the social fallout, but I don't feel guilty either. He made choices. He chose to talk about me like I was inadequate. He chose to treat our wedding like a performance. He chose to view me as someone who needed to earn his respect. Those choices cost him. My silence didn't destroy our engagement. His words did. Sometimes when I lie in bed at night, I think about the $9,000 I lost in deposits. It still stings a little. But then I picture the life I almost stepped into. A lifetime of striving, explaining, proving, trying to be impressive enough. And suddenly, the lost money feels like the best investment I ever made. It bought me freedom. It bought me clarity. It bought me myself. As for Connor's last request for closure, I realized something. I already had closure. I got it the moment I overheard him tell his friends I wasn't worth marrying unless I changed into someone else. I got it the moment he compared me to his ex and laughed. I got it the moment he showed me exactly who he was when he thought I wasn't listening. That was all the closure I needed. Sometimes the universe doesn't whisper. Sometimes it speaks in someone else's careless laughter. And if you're brave enough to hear it, you walk away. Even if it costs you $9,000. Even if it costs you the future you thought you were building. Even if it costs you the version of yourself who stayed small to keep someone else comfortable. Walking away from disrespect isn't cruel. It's necessary. And sometimes the trash really does take itself out. You just have to be brave enough to let it go.